6:38. You want to know who had a little trouble in the prison yard? I don't know. Throw some names out there. No need to guess. It's Jared from Subway. Jared Fogle, is that his name?
Yes.
Beaten and bloodied in a prison yard ambush just the other day, or I guess it was earlier last. Might even have been as far back as January, but this is just coming out now. According to doctors, Fogle was jumped in the rec yard at the Englewood prison in Colorado back on January 29th. It was not much of a fight. The inmate named Stephen Nigg pushed Fogle down and then unloaded a barrage of punches to his face. The guy is in for weapons charges. He left Fogle with a bloody nose, swollen face, and scratches on his neck. The 60-year-old was also injured. He had a small cut on his left hand from delivering the punches. The family said they're not surprised. They're told that he's upset over the fact that many child sex predators are housed in this low-security facility. Fogle was the last straw. And they say, right, if you're a pedophile, the last place you want to end up is prison. Mm-hmm. And that's what they say happened to Jared. On the line right now is Jeff Monosso from Fox News. Jeff, good morning. Thanks for coming on this morning.
You got it.
Kasich, mathematically, kind of looking at this, he doesn't have a chance at all, does he, mathematically?
I mean, stranger things have happened, I guess, but, mathematically, it really is not there. I mean, he'd have to win 100% of all of the coming primary contests, and that's not going to happen. So it's likely going to go to a brokered convention. And, we heard from many of his supporters last night. They basically saying that, look, I mean, they're overjoyed that he had this first victory in his primary campaign in his home state, taking 66 delegates. So Kasich right now at about 130, 136, to Cruz's 398, to Trump's 621. So if he doesnthis win 100% of the primary contests, it's going to go to a brokered convention. Yeah. And if he stays in, this is an expensive thing to do. Run for president. So that's also another thing. But the campaign moves on, and it goes next, as we heard from John Kasich, to his native state of Pennsylvania. But again, as you mentioned, amid that delegate deficit, which is really going to be a long road for John Kasich. This is what he planned. If this is what he planned all along, I mean, maybe the guy's brilliant. I don't know, just to kind of fly under the radar when it started with 17 back last summer to now where there's just 3. Ted Cruz wanted Kasich out of it last night. So I think that Ted Cruz is probably one of the big losers last night, because it just means that the delegates get split up, and it perhaps could go to a brokered convention.
Well, Kasich would be the Republican establishment's choice at this point. It seems, right?
Yeah, and that's where it's going to be really interesting to see how Kasich is supported. Whether it's whether the GOP, whether the establishment, all but just comes out and says, look, this is the guy that we want a brokered convention, or whether they do it quietly. But I think it's all going to flesh out, and we're going to see very soon where the GOP, where the quote unquote establishment stands.
And Jeff, what are you hearing? Is it because sometimes it's tough to get the news right now? You don't know if this is coming from a political pundit or if it's coming from a campaign person floating something out there. But it still seems there's a reality of this push to get it to a brokered convention in hopes that somebody else could be recruited other than Trump. Is that really a reality here? Even hearing Paul Ryan mentioned yesterday. Is there a reality to this, or is this something being floated by a campaign?
Well, look, I think that anybody that tells you how it's going to go down is lying. They're lying to you, and whether or not they're a pundit or somebody working for a campaign, nobody knows how this is going to play out. Nobody does. I certainly don't know. I mean, this has been one of the strangest political seasons I've ever seen, and one of the greatest political reality shows that has played out.
Yeah.
before our very eyes. I don't know the answer to your question, how this is going to play out, or who's perhaps pulling the strings within campaigns. You know the Kasich campaign, they want a brokered convention. You know, there are many in the establishment that want a brokered convention. They want Kasich or perhaps a Mitt Romney to be able to run for president, to get the nomination. They don't want Trump. They don't want Cruz. It was interesting seeing how Cruz, how the establishment types were warming to Cruz within the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, even Lindsey Graham. Yeah. Very interesting. It's funny. We had John Zogby, pollster John Zogby, on just 2 days ago, and John's answer was, "I'm not sure I can predict when it comes to Trump." I mean, that's coming from a pollster at this point of the game. Everybody seems to just be baffled here. Jeff Monosso, Fox News. Thanks for your time this morning.
You bet.
All right. Baffled. How do you predict? Been a lot of predicting going on since this whole thing started, and I don't think anybody's been right when it comes to Trump. Crazy. Christine with an update.